Hey, what's up? It's welcome to Lenny Schmidts Quarantine Comedy. Do me a favor before we get started. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs up thing. Hold on. There we go. Shut that down. There we go. Oh, wait. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the little thumbs up button. Do that for me. It's called, the kids call it smashing the like button. Do that for me. Watch the show. Sit back. Enjoy it. I'm talking to my buddy Kozlowski today, and I see he's here even earlier than I thought he was. So for now, just sit back, relax, and get ready for quarantine comedy. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. That's it. Those are my rules. That's it. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming back always. I appreciate it. It's the Wednesday night show. My friend Carl's going to be out here in a few minutes. I can't thank you guys enough for being here, for tuning in. There's a few of you here now. Please, like I said, hit the like button, the thumbs up, whatever you want to call it. Sit back, enjoy the show. That's it. That's all I got for you. It's good to be here. Not a lot going on in the news. Well, although this is going on, they're giving away all kinds of stuff if you get vaccinated. I just saw this. This is let's see, you get beer. Anheuser-Busch is going to give away some beer, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Baseball tickets. This is bullshit. I would have waited. You know, I got my vaccination right away, man. I would have waited out to get some tickets to a ball game and a beer. This doesn't seem. Now we're bribing people to take the vaccination. We'll have to see how that plays out. Let's go to the main page. Let's see how many people are here. Oh, we got. Hey, how are you, Brenda? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Laura Solanka, as always. Robin Greenberg is here. She's here today, but she cannot be at the happy hour tomorrow. By the way, if you're a Patreon mentor, tomorrow's the happy hour. We do once a month or once every few weeks. We do. Hey, it's happy hour somewhere. So that's tomorrow, 4:00 Pacific. Vince Mulligan, Shauna Johnson, of course, you're here. Thank you so much. And Brenda had a bad day at work, and now she's glad she's here. Boy, I hope we can make it a better day, Brenda. I got news for you. What else is going on? Nothing going on cruise ship-wise. I know some of you guys are asking, but I will tell you this. I just saw this. If you have the Alaska cruise, I know somebody watches the show a lot, is going to Alaska in August. They're very excited because it looks like that's going to happen or should happen. If this lawsuit in Florida goes forward and the governor wins, they null and void the CDC order, which null and voids the Alaskan cruise season again. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's extremely bad news if you are going to cruise to Alaska. Because if the whole deal is called null and void, then they don't have any deal to sail on. That's the deal. So watch the Florida thing close. The deal, if you don't know by now, the Florida governor, what's his name? I can't remember his name over there. But anyway, he's suing the cruise lines to say that they cannot test people for COVID when they get on the ship. It's not mandatory. And masks too, I believe that's part of the deal. And every ship has a deal that you got to test. You got to test negative before you get on the ship. And Florida doesn't want that caveat there. So they took the cruise lines to court. Or they took CDC to court to drop the order because that's where the order stated. The order states if people tests negative for COVID, they can get on a cruise ship. That's where the order started. And so the cruise line said, "We'll follow that," and the Florida said, "No, you won't." So they filed the motion. They want to have that overturned. If it's overturned, the whole report is gone, and that's what Alaska's sailing on, the same base that everyone needs to be tested. So. I really hope that's not the case because the signing of the Alaska cruises probably saved 3 cities from completely disappearing. Skagway, for one, very small city, but it's a great cruise. All right, man, what's going on? Doom, boom, boom, and we're here. Okay, Larry Warden, yeah, Larry. I'm sorry, I'll be in Tulsa next week, man. I was gonna put a thing up tomorrow to advertise it. I'm at the Looney Bin in Tulsa all next week, Wednesday through Saturday. So there you go. So I'm plugging it there. And it'll be okay now that it gets. Oh, cool. Oh, Brenda's here. Good. All right, fine. Yeah, Larry, I'll be in Tulsa. I don't know if you're going to come up that way. How far is Tulsa from Dallas? Last time he drove up. Last time him and Ray drove up from Dallas to see me in Oklahoma City. It was great. It was very cool. So who knows? Who knows if that's going to happen? Yeah, good thing. Okay, man, let's get to it. I'm babbling left and right. Folks, your guest today is a guy that I've known for even longer than L.A., from Chicago. I knew him in Chicago. I've known him for a long time. Actually, let's you know what? He's a stand-up comic. He's a producer. He's a creator. He's a entrepreneur. He's a million things. He also was one of the groundbreaking creators of radio, of the Radio Titans, which was before podcasts were even popular. That show was out, and it was all kinds of radio. You know what? He's also a stand-up comic. So with that in mind, let's take a look at my good friend right now, the one and only Mr. Carl Kozlowski.
Yeah, being narcoleptic is kind of sucks. I can't drive here in LA, in the city where everybody has a car. So I fell asleep at the wheel 10 years ago, so the cops don't let me drive anywhere. So I have to ride the bike. And I'm like, really? So I don't know if I feel any safer, but I guess my obituary will be a lot more entertaining for you folks to read. But, you know, it's also weird, like, sometimes I have to dress up, like tonight, you know, I put on a suit or a jacket, hop on my bike. I'm over 300 pounds. When people see me in a suit on a bike, they get the hell out of my way. Because they think I'm the world's scariest Mormon. And the biggest.
Scariest and the biggest Mormon. Folks, welcome to the stage. I keep saying that. Give it up for my good friend Carl Kozlowski. Here he is. Boom. Look, there he is. He's right there. He's right over just to that side of me right now. All right. All right. Shut up, everyone. Okay.
I don't know if I can say I'm overwhelmed, but I'm at the very least I'm whelmed by that.
As long as you're whelmed. I'm going to go with whelmed. That's all I want. I was just going.
Overwhelmed is great.
I was going for whelmed. We can hit overwhelmed later. How are you, brother?
Yeah. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Thanks for being here.
It's always nice to be had, as the saying goes.
Dude, absolutely. Always nice to have you. I'm glad you could make it here. You got here even earlier than we thought. Things.
I raced like hell.
Did you really? That's good.
Oh,
now
yeah.
you're in Little Rock, and I didn't know you were in Little Rock till I was in Little Rock about 2 months ago.
No, it was like a month ago, dude. It wasn't 2 months ago. It was just a month.
Was it a month? Okay. I lose track of time out here in California, man. We got different COVID rules. We can't go anywhere and do anything. It was April 21st.
5 weeks.
Yeah, close. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas a month ago. So how you doing, buddy? How's it going? Would you get a lot on your plate?
I'm great. Oh yeah, well, there's always a lot on the plate. That's why I'm so big. But no, I'm excited. I'm getting to move to an awesome new place on Saturday. The last 15 months, I've sadly been living back home in not even my own bedroom, my sister's bedroom from when we were kids, because a lot of things went bad in LA. I lost a couple jobs before the pandemic, but they got laid off, and so it was just kind of rough. And so I got the hell out of LA. And it turns out the day that I arrived in Little Rock was January 21st of 2020. It was the very same day that the first official case of COVID hit America. And like so many people have said, dude, that is like totally amazing timing that I got the hell out of LA, one of the worst areas of how they handled COVID, on the very day that it all started.
Yeah, the beginning was not good out here, man. We seem to be finishing up a lot better, but the first year, it was not good. It was not. We were open, then we were closed, and we were open again, then we were closed. It was very confusing.
Yeah. Well, I was there in November, and I was lucky. I was there during one of the like open periods. So I had dinner at places like Saddle Ranch on Sunset and had a blast. And then like within a couple weeks after, everything was shut down again. And then I came back last week for 5 days, and everything was open again, pretty much. So, so I was lucky. I guess they opened it for me.
Yeah. Well, they keep. Well, whatever you did this time, things are looking really good right now. They keep saying the big test will be in 2 weeks because it'll be 2 weeks after Memorial Day. But our numbers are so low right now. Things are really good in California. They're way better here than they are anywhere, which is I'm very grateful. Yeah, because we were locked, dude. It was a mess here. We were pretty much locked down for like a year. There was just too much confusion and
Crazy.
Yeah, it was totally insane. It was insane.
Well, it was like totally different in Arkansas because we're a much smaller state. I mean, LA County, you have like 10 million people. The whole state of Arkansas, you have 3 million people.
Right.
So here, it was barely even a thing. I mean, it was like we shut down because the whole country went nuts like mid-March last year.
Right.
It was like, and they shut it all down. And then May 11, we reopened things like movie theaters even. I went to movies all summer last year, but because they didn't have good ones out, I saw classics. They showed things like Ghostbusters and Temple of Doom on the big screen to get people out.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, you review movies anyway. Do you still are you still doing those online? Where are you doing the movie reviews?
Well, I'm about to try and make a bigger outreach for more places. I used to write for 10 years. I was the film critic at the Pasadena Weekly newspaper in the LA area, and I was on Rotten Tomatoes. You can still find like a couple hundred reviews of mine there if you ever are curious. Under my name, Carl Kozlowski at Rotten Tomatoes. There, just search for me. But I'm Catholic, and I work a lot with Catholic media, which I think we'll be talking about some other Catholic thing I do later. But I write for 2 or 3 websites that have Catholic audiences. I do movie reviews, but I'm about to try and make a big push tomorrow to several more places and see if I can break back into something bigger. And I'm also, a friend is trying to talk me into doing, I don't know if this even makes sense, to do reviews on Twitch, like arrange live streaming shows, even though it's mostly a gamer thing. A friend of mine DJs every week, and he's like, dude, you would be amazing if you had a set time to do movie reviews. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. My brother does a whole Twitch thing. He does gaming, but people are doing all kinds of crap on there now, man. A movie review thing on there would be perfect. They're really, really smart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of doing it for like a minute at a time. Do minute-long movie reviews on TikTok, because I just got hooked on TikTok the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Like that's changing my life.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe I envy you being able. I make TikToks with my daughter, but I always have trouble with short, funny. You know what I mean? Like everything's got to be longer for me. For me to do a 10 to 30 second thing, it just seems I have a hard time wrapping my head around that sometimes. Well, you're doing that now, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's easy for me because what I'm doing, and I feel weird, like I'm just going to be hammering out plugs all night here, folks, is I'm on TikTok. I'm labeled as that funny Walmart guy. And the reason why is that I've been working at Walmart since mid-March. And the thing is, about a month ago, the first 2 months, I didn't really do anything unusual, but I kept asking, can I do the closing announcements at the end of the night? And all the managers were like, no, we do that. And they all thought, I just was trying to do the same, lame, serious announcements that are usually done. But then finally one night, all the managers were gone and one employee was left in charge. And I took advantage of her being overwhelmed, there's that word again. We should all drink to that. And I said, hey, could I do the announcements tonight? I'll take that off your hands. So we do 5 announcements: 10:30, 10:45, 50, 55, and 11. We close at 11 at this Walmart. It's a grocery one. And so the thing was, I started just doing these real smart-ass, smarmy, completely over-the-top announcements. Sort of like, I guess it was inspired by David Letterman, my hero in comedy, but it was really in the style of Craig Kilborn and how he would do things where he's like, completely precious and just completely over the top and full of himself. And that's what I started doing him as. And then the whole store was laughing, the coworkers and the customers and all that. And so that employee that was in charge that night told the managers about it, and they started letting me do it every night since then. So 5 nights a week, I'm doing 5 announcements a night, and they want me to keep them to less than a minute. And that's perfect because one of my managers taught me about TikTok. And so the past 15 days, I've been on TikTok, and I've had over 40,000 views of my videos. I mean, that's adding them all up. It's not like each one is 40,000, but
Right.
I'm hoping to get there. And yeah, so we're trying to see if it'll blow up. And they're already talking about having me pitch to the corporation. I have 3 or 4 ideas for funny ad campaigns. So I might wind up getting to be Carl from Walmart the way Flo is for Progressive.
Oh, dude, look at you, man. Genius. That's a brilliant idea. Nice job.
Well,
Where's it?
thanks. Yeah.
What is the TikTok account called again? Funny.
It's called Thatfunnywalmartguy. And if anybody's ever in the area, I'm at the Sherwood Neighborhood Market in Sherwood, Arkansas. I hope that doesn't inspire some psycho to kill me, but anyway, come to the store and have some laughs with us. I'll put you on the video.
I'm looking for the account right now.
I've got I don't know. It's weird. I can't figure this out because the managers freaking love it.
Yeah.
They sent it to the CEO, one of the videos, and the CEO was like, "Wow, who's this guy?" And that's how I got the chance to. I'm about to be pitching ad ideas.
All right, hold on.
But I still only have 123 followers so far.
On the
I
funny,
can't quite figure out why.
Dude, I don't know how on TikTok you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
TikTok,
I don't know how you figure out how to get followers on TikTok. That's just I don't know how these kids are doing it. It's insane. I can never figure it out.
The kids these days, I tell you.
These kids.
Well, my manager claims that the manager who got me on there claims her 11-year-old son has 100,000 followers just for gaming. I'm like, really? I'm sitting there writing really, really elaborate, funny speeches and crazy announcements, and I get 123. But that's better than nothing. I don't know.
All right, hold on. I can play one of these. You mind if I play one of them?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, let me see.
Play the one of me driving on a cart from last night, if you can find that. It says "Ride the Lightning" on it.
Ride the Lightning. All right. There's a whole... These aren't really...
I went haywire riding the electric cart around the store.
It was last night? Oh,
yeah.
Here we go. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. I think I can...
And then I'll tell you which announcement to use.
All right, let me see if I can... This is crazy. All right, man. Here we go. Let me change this. Change this.
It's that crack AV team you told me about, Lenny. Those 6th graders.
These kids are amazing. I'm telling you, I love these kids. They're the best. All right, here we go.
I am following you.
Oh, you're following. Okay, come around the front there. Wow.
How do you get away with this at Walmart, man? The rifle lady.
Oh, my boss is here. Oops.
Hi, boss. Hi, boss.
Show the boss. Show the boss.
Hi, boss.
Okay, watch me throw the park.
All right, there's hit a pause.
I'm the worst parker in the world. I smashed that cart into a column and the wall last night.
It's a cart. How confusing. How confusing can it be? All right, let me play one of the announcements. Which one do you want me to play? Do you have a specific one you want me to play?
Man, I can't see them while I'm on the show here, so I guess the one that I was really proud of last night is shoot. I think it was one.
Answer me if I'm crazy.
The one about National Heimlich Maneuver Day is a good one. The
there we
Heimlich
go.
Maneuver one.
Okay, there we go. Let's give that a shot then. All right. Copy that. Copy that. All right. Let's see if we can change it live. Why not? All right. There you go.
Hello, people of Earth. It's now 10:55 and you have 5 minutes left to shop. It's National Olive Day and National Heimlich Maneuver Day. Be alert for fellow shoppers and Walmart team members who might be choking on an olive, and show how much you care by giving them the Heimlich Maneuver. In these times of COVID and social distancing, it's a great way to keep that human connection. Thank you for shopping at Walmart.
Dude, they should do that all the time. That's a great idea. That's hilarious.
Well, yeah. Well, see, what I'm trying to do also is they have Walmart Radio there, which I never paid attention to until I got there. And Walmart Radio, they have like a couple of employees won a contest in 2015 to be the announcers on there, but they never really changed. I don't know how often they update it. It's the same music every day with the same stupid announcements. So I'm going to try and pitch that, hey, you get me to do this, I'll come up with fresh stuff every day.
Wow. Yeah, dude, that's a tough load, brother, to come up. That's content. It's a lot of fresh content you got to be coming up with.
Well, the thing is, and what's crazy is I was the laziest comedian for 20-something years. I got away with doing the same 20 minutes everywhere because, it's like at the clubs, you only do it once in a while, and you're the MC. So if I was the MC, so, I'd do some crowd work, and then I'd basically get away with the same set. And then I do comedy at Catholic churches all over the place, and nobody ever sees the show twice because it's always a different church. But then here, that's what's been crazy is I never expected that working at Walmart would give me quality stage time on a hilarious mic where I'm blasting through this giant store.
Yeah.
And I'm writing like 5 bits every night.
Dude, that's so cool. Way to embrace your atmosphere to still be able to create your art. You know what I mean? Way to make that work for yourself.
Thank you.
That's the best thing ever. And then you get to come up with different jokes every night. Pretty soon you're going to be a draw. People are going to hang around in that store until it's late before they close. I want to hear all the announcements.
You know what? I took down the video because my brother got on my case, but I filmed. There were these 2 girls. That was totally kosher. They were the daughters of one of my friends from first grade on. Showed up, and he showed up at 10:30 with his 2 12 and 13-year-old daughters because he was showing them my videos day after day, and they said, "Dad, we want to see it in person." So they came and shopped and managed to check out right at 10:30.
Right.
And then I made a video of the girls' reactions, and it was one of the girls that was running around filming me on the cart. And they gave me the best response. But then when my brother saw it, he's like, "Well, you better watch out. It's going to look like you're asking strangers' kids to get in a white panel van." I'm like, okay. So I took it down. But I'm getting. There's one lady who shows up every night at around 5 till 11, or not every night, but a lot. And she's always. I filmed her a few times. Her reactions.
Yeah, that's the best. That's a great idea. I'm telling you, you're going to start to have people. People aren't going to leave. They're going, no. They heard the first announcement. They go, no, we got to stay for the next 4 announcements. I want to hear the next 4 announcements.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned the Catholic. Yeah. You mentioned the Catholic school thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask you about that. As a guy that works a lot of cruise shifts and I've got hours of clean material, I've always appreciated clean stand-up comedy. Is something that to me has always been more of a challenge than a deterrent. Do you know what I'm saying? So what do you do that? You do that with churches? Where at? Are you doing them down there in Little Rock now?
Not now. So far, although. What I'm going to do when I move into my new place, there is a decent comedy scene in Little Rock. Not meaning that it's decent comedy, but I mean there's like a lot of comedians. I met one time. I've only performed officially once the whole time I've been home since January of last year. It was at the Looney Bin. They had a special monthly contest. It's like Showtime at the Apollo, and I did pretty good. But they had a pretty booming scene. It was like a dozen comics competed, and they were really funny, a lot of them. And then there were lots more of their friends hanging around watching the 12. And they told me there's also a primarily black club that's really rowdy also. And there's a third place I've heard of that I don't know anything about, but it's been around a while. And then I've heard there's like a 4th thing that just opened. But the thing is, I'm going to start getting out on the scene now that I'm moving on my own. And we have a clubhouse at the complex I'm at. And they told me that I can start doing comedy shows in our clubhouse. So I'm going to try and like find some really good comics and do that. But as what I do as far as churches and stuff, it's called Catholic Laughs, and it's catholiclaughs.com. There's another plug. Have a drink, and the thing is that we've been doing this for about 4 years. Me and a guy named Scott Vinci, and we put together shows where I forgot that you were clean. So we'll have to get you when we get these things up and running a lot again. But we have pretty good comics. We even had Paul Rodriguez once. Brian Kiley of Conan does a lot of our shows. Tom Clark, who's been on Conan, and like we always guarantee that that we have a headliner, sometimes two headliners, who are national late night TV level performers. Right. And so it's three of us do comedy, and it's all guaranteed to be clean, and we just blow the roof off of churches and other special events that are Catholic. But we also have a thing called Laughter Saves that we got to start promoting. That we're going to do that for the general Christian market. We just hadn't really given it a push yet, but we have the site, and we're going to start advertising that also.
That's first of all, that's great, and I love the fact when you mention guys like Paul Rodriguez and Tom Clark. Those guys, they're really funny, strong comics. I love to see really funny, strong comics, and then just go do a clean show. So many guys look down on it, or guys are like, I'm not working clean. And I always found it, I've always said this from day one when I started working ships, I found it more of a challenge to write clever jokes about things I wanted to talk about and keep them clean. To me, that was a challenge. So I was like, well, then I'll do it, and I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And that, so it's nice to see, I think you push yourself a little bit more. So it's nice to see guys like Paul and guys like Tom, who's two guys that are really funny and established headliners, to just go out there and do a clean show. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people just want to see clean comedy. I noticed it on the ship. People, it's not just kids that go to these clean shows. I meet tons and tons and tons of adults that are like, we just don't like to see all the swearing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's understandable.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I love some of my favorite comedy is, very R-rated, whatever. Chris Rock is my favorite comedian of all time. And I love, if you're smart and dirty, I think it's hilarious. Like Something About Mary's my favorite movie. But not that it's that dirty, but it has the scene, And so anyway, but the thing is that speaking of what you're talking about, the challenge, I also ran for years, and you might have done one of these. Did you do my Pajama Party shows?
Oh, I did one. Yeah, I did one of them.
Yeah. So I did these shows in my lobby of my apartment building in LA. I lived in this super cool former classic hotel turned apartments, and we had this palatial lobby, and I ran comedy shows there, probably like 50 or 60 over the years, and we did them on Sunday nights. We had a guy named Adam Grotman. We would host wearing pajamas because the idea was, hey, we're so this is in my home, so I'm just showing up, coming down the elevator in my pajamas.
Yeah, right. Just coming out with a cup of coffee.
We had to. Yeah, well, we were forced to keep it clean because the manager stupidly said, well, there's a kid in the building. One kid. And you know how old he was? 12 or 13. Like, he's probably dirtier than all of us. Right. And he wouldn't let us swear. So I would still get comics to show up. And one time I had Sam Tripoli, who's notorious for having a show called The Naughty Show in Vegas. So that guy's totally R-rated. And he came and headlined, and he was like, oh, man, 10 minutes clean. And he was the funniest I've ever seen him. He was all pumped up, jumping out of his skin, doing the set. And at the end, he goes, wow. That was one of the most exciting sets I ever did because I had to think about every word I said.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's a great feeling. See, because funny's funny. If you try, you can be clean if you try, if you make an effort to it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of guys that say, I can't do that. And I'm like, you could if you wanted. But if you don't want to, that's fine. That's your thing. That's whatever. But yeah, it was always a challenge. And, and there's so many great comics out there that are clean. Obviously Gaffigan and both the Reagans.
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. But Brian Reagan, Dennis Reagan, both those guys are clean, totally clean comics. And they're hilarious. They're very funny.
Yeah.
So, now, how is it? People have questions here for you from the board. Here's the deal. I always mention this. I don't have thousands of followers, but the ones I have are very loyal. and they're here all the time.
Sure.
So they have some questions. So I'm gonna throw them out there for you. One of them you already answered. It looks like. Oh, here's one. Carl. Oh, we can throw this one out. There's a good one. Carl, have you been writing jokes so much? Have you ever thought of writing jokes for other comedians?
I did for a brief while. I don't know if it's cool to say the name or not. I mean, it's somebody who you're probably friends with also. I'll just say it, whatever. Fraser Smith is an MC in LA. He's like the king of the MCs.
Yeah.
And he had me, like, I wrote sometimes for him about 10 years ago, and then my power's getting low. Let me try to adjust my cord. I apologize.
Sure.
There we go. But he's the king of the LA club MCs, and he always needed tons of material. So he writes a lot of his own, but it's also, he would have people do stuff for him. So I wrote for him, and not really others. I don't know. Like, for some reason, it's easier for me just to think. A lot of my material even is just about me and my life when I do my set.
Right. Story based kind of stuff. Kind of what I do.
Yeah.
I'm always blown away by Fraser, dude, because he's a setup punchline guy, and he tells we were working Ventura once, and he was opening for me, and he did 30 minutes, and I go up there and I go, you people don't realize you just saw 11,000 jokes. Like,
I know, right?
He tells a joke. I go, I'm always blown away. I don't know how you remember those jokes. I can get into a story and just remember the story. You know what I mean? His story's 3 minutes long, 4 minutes long. His jokes average 10 to 15 seconds. And I'm like, how do you remember all those jokes, dude? I would be lost. That's amazing talent.
Incredible. Yeah.
That's amazing. And Brenda Running asked that question, I believe. She asked a bunch of questions.
Hi, Brenda.
She's great. Yeah, she's a Patreon member. She's a good friend. And she has another question, and she asked this kind of a lot, but we're gonna ask you, how did you get into comedy?
How I got into comedy? Wow. Okay, so specifically, when I was a freshman, I went to Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas, TCU, and there was a contest my freshman year that Search sponsored. I still have the T-shirt. It's so tiny, I can't possibly even imagine fitting into it now. It's like a tank top for a girl. It's crazy. Oh, and anyways, it was U.S. Search U.S. College Comedy competition from Search the Breathmints, and I came in second my freshman year out of like 10 guys in front of an audience of students. I don't know who the judges were. They were probably professors or something. And then sophomore year, I won. And then the school never had the contest again. I was so pissed. And so I didn't do stand-up again until the last time I did it in college was 1990. And then in 1994, I moved to Chicago to study at Second City, the famous improv theater. And the thing was that I was very much in my head, as they say. I wasn't a good improviser. I was always worried about, where do I jump in? Or what's this person going to think of what I said or whatever? And I was terrible at it. And I managed to get through the whole school, 18 months there, because I did good at the auditions somehow under pressure. We would have weed out auditions along the way, and I always did well at those. But when I was doing really bad, and I thought, oh my God, am I going to have to go home like as a loser? Somebody said, hey, go try to do stand-up. There's an open mic that everybody goes to. And it was a place called Hitchcock's. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Lenny, but it was the thing for like a couple of years in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And in Lincoln Park. And I started performing there, and I found that stand-up is a completely different animal than improv, because in stand-up, you totally can just focus on what you're going to say, versus improv, you have to be open to anything else anybody else is thinking.
Yeah, you got to be listening.
And so because I think better controlling and writing my own thing, so I was not instantly great at stand-up, but I got a big laugh from one person the first night, and that carried me through like 6 weeks or more of silence. But I stuck with it, and eventually, it paid off.
That's dude. That's similar. That's kind of similar to my first set ever. I destroyed. I mean, it was 3.5 minutes of gold. You know what I mean? It was just 3.5 minutes of really good show, and then I ate it for 2 months. It was just 2 months of
You
me.
want to know the? You want to know the joke that got the laugh? I still remember it. I still think it's killer. It only got a laugh from one woman who had this hilariously loud laugh. A comedian named Susan Preckle, who's brilliant but largely disappeared. Gave up on comedy, I think. But I said, boy, you know, I don't really get our priorities as a country. We have food scientists coming up with all new flavors of Doritos, but we still can't come up with a cure for AIDS. And I've got this from Susan Preckle. Everybody else just kind of looked at her like, what?
That's funny.
But I mean, that carried me forward for a while.
Yeah, but that's hilarious. I always say, dude, I said it a million times on here. This is how stand-up gets you. Is you go up there, and if you ever do bad, you do one of two things. One is you go, I'm never doing that again. Or two is you go, I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna go back I'm gonna go back and do better. Yeah, that's how you get sucked in. That's how you become a comic. If you keep going back, it's the only explanation. You keep going back after sucking for the first. You know how rough it is at the beginning. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. Let me tell you. Can I tell a story that takes 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so I told this to a guy about a week ago for a different podcast about that's not airing. It's something he's compiling tons of interviews into a history of Chicago comedy in the 90s podcast.
Okay.
And so this won't be anything that your listeners have heard, or I'm not sloughing off, something second rate to you, but this guy thought this story was so crazy that I think I should share it. So the way I really got moving in comedy was this. And so 1996, I started in 94 in Chicago at the very tail end. And 1996, I was, halfway okay. I could get some laughs, whatever, but I was painfully insecure all the time still. And I was also in a stress reduction therapy group that I somehow arranged through the weird job that I had, the Dilbert job that I had, where I was, an office slave, and so I'm in this stress reduction class or group, and they meet on Wednesdays right before the biggest alternative comedy show, like bar show of the week. It was Kane Collier's show called The Elevated. And so they were literally half a block away from this bar where that show is. And I was booked to do that show. And I tell my group, because I'm feeling good and thinking I'm making progress on stress reduction. And I thought, I'll have them come watch me. This will be like a big, awesome breakthrough. Well, they show up along with, somehow, I don't know if it was coincidence. I don't think so. There were 3 total butthead jerks in my Second City class that dominated all the shows that we did, all the sketch comedy things that we did along the way of our studies. And they show up that night, I think because I was performing, and they sit in the front row and they stare at me with the really mean, sarcastic looks on their faces. So I know I'm pretty sure they were trying to throw me. And so imagine I have these jerks in the front row, none of whom are doing comedy now. One of them's dead, right. So I win. But anyway, the thing is, does the bitterness stay among us comics? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the thing is that that my stress reduction group is at a big table in the back of the room. Okay, so I wind up getting on stage, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to take my notes with me. I'm going to put them on the side of the stage. And it was a huge stage. And I wind up panicking and forgetting my jokes that I was determined to do without looking at notes that night. No. So I didn't carry the notebook. So I wind up running back and forth to the side of the stage instead of taking the notebook back with me and just admitting I got to check out the lineup. I'm running back and forth like a psycho. And I finally just panicked so bad and did so bad that I ran off the stage when I was done, and I left the room. I didn't even come back. I didn't say bye to my stress group or anything. And everybody thought I was going to kill myself.
Yeah,
and the next morning, this guy named David Spark, who I'm still friends with on Facebook, he says, "Buddy, we got to go to breakfast. I'm buying." And he was like a very Jewish comic. I love the way he looked and talked, everything. And so he takes me for bagels, of course. And he's like, "Listen, Carl, do you think you're one of the 50 best comics in Chicago?" And here's how screwed up my mind was: combination of like complete loser thoughts and pride at the same time. I go, "I don't know, maybe I'm 51st." And I was serious. And and he's like, "Oh, Carl, you're gonna kill yourself if you keep at this. You gotta either quit or go to therapy." He goes, "Go to therapy." And I'm thinking, what therapy? What? But he goes, "You're already in a stress group. We all saw them last night." And so he's like, find a therapist. So I went up with this therapist. He's a cognitive behavioral therapist. And that means that most therapists don't do this. Most just sit there and listen and let you ramble on like now. And then and they maybe occasionally give you a, "Well, why do you feel that way?" Or, "Could you possibly think of this?" But cognitive behavioral therapists tell you, you must do this and you will get results. So I had this guy, he was so awesome, this old French guy named Antoine Rousseau, I'll never forget. And he was like, "Carl, I would normally tell somebody," imagine with a French accent, I'm not going to do it here. He goes, "I would normally tell somebody who's had a panic attack in front of a crowd to stop performing in front of crowds. But he said, but something tells me this is the wrong thing to do with you. Something tells me you're meant to do this." And I was like, "Okay." And so he says, "Can you think of something that would make you stand out from the comics?" And so I told him, "Well, when I was in college, I wrote a humor column all 4 years of my college newspaper. And I was so good at it that I was the only person every semester they had a survey. Who do you want to still keep reading?" I was the only one who got kept 8 semesters, all 4 years. And so but I had stopped writing funny things. I thought I had this stupid idea in my head that if you're in Chicago, nobody's going to care what a guy from the South thinks. And like they even care where you're from. It's so stupid, my thinking. Just be funny and they'll take you, right? But I had this hang up. So Antoine Rousseau says, he goes, "Here's what you have to do." And he says, "Next week, come in with an idea for a great, funny story. Then you have 2 weeks to go do the story and write it. Then you have to bring me 4 envelopes for the 2 weekly papers and the 2 daily papers of Chicago. And I'm going to take your article and send it out for you so there's no excuses that you don't do it. And we'll see what happens. And if you don't do what I say, don't ever come to me again." And I was like, wow.
Wow. All right.
So I came up with this. I came up with this awesome idea. It was 1996, and the presidential race was going on between Clinton and Bob Dole. And I decided to see what would happen if I called each campaign's Chicago office up and volunteered to be like a volunteer in each campaign. And so I call up Bill Clinton's campaign. I say, "Oh, I'm from Arkansas. I believe he's the greatest living American politician. I'll do anything to help." And they're like, "Wonderful." And so they tell me what to do. I show up. I pass the background check. Amazingly, they had a background check because the Democratic convention was going on right then in Chicago. It was perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next week, I called the Dole campaign, and I'm like, "Oh, I think Bob Dole's the greatest living American politician. I'll do anything to help." And so they got me a weird assignment, which I'll mention in a second. So what I did for Clinton was I managed to get Scott Vinci, my Catholic Glass partner's girlfriend, into volunteering also. She got in charge of the badges, or not in charge, but she's one of the people handing out badges to go to parties and the conventions, speeches and stuff like that. She snuck passes to everything into her pockets. So me, her, and Scott got into every freaking party there was, and it's the Democrats. So all the superstars are there. We're running around. I'm hanging out with Richard Lewis, Al Gore's walking by, stuff like that, right?
Right.
And so I only volunteer one time. I wind up. I'm supposed to do 4 shifts that week. I show up for one of them, and then the rest of the time I go party. And back then I drank, so it was crazy. It was free booze everywhere, hanging out with Richard Lewis and stuff. And so I have this epic week, and I take some notes about that. Then I go to the Dole thing. Dole's thing was insane. He had this thing where they asked me, could I show up at this church in Bucktown, St. Mary of the Angels? And I actually go to that church, so I knew exactly where to go. And they said, show up Saturday at 7:30 a.m. We're going to have some tour buses, and we're going to bus a bunch of people down to the Illinois State Fair to see Bob Dole and Jack Kemp, his VP, make their first appearance after their Republican convention. So I wind up on this bus helping do crowd control. The crowd is a busload of Polish people. I have no idea why, but it is Chicago, right? But these people knew not one word of English. They were taught basically how to say, I love Bob Dole, or whatever.
Were they a bought audience? Like a bought, you know what I mean?
It was basically a bought audience.
Yeah.
They didn't pay them, but what they did was free ride, and they were on the TVs that they had there. It was like a rock star quality bus. They were showing all these old Polish people. Goldeneye, which was James Bond, where the villainess kills guys by wrapping her thighs around their necks.
Right.
And then Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan, and they had all you could drink beer in coolers. And so these people got so freaking hammered, it was unbelievable. And they make it through the speech, we're holding these signs, thunderously cheering Bob Dole's name. We get back on the bus, and it got so rowdy, the bus driver had to pull over on the side of the road and refuse to go further if they couldn't control the crowd. And this Asian American girl was really in charge of the bus. She's almost crying. And she goes, does anybody speak English and Polish? And I raised my hand. And I don't know much in Polish, but I knew enough. And I get up there, and I got on the mic, and I go, Prussia, Cicho, szaraj. And that's what my mom told me as a kid. Please, shut up, sit down. And so the whole bus goes, oh. And they all sat down. We made it back to Chicago.
Oh,
because
no.
I saved the drunken bus from going too crazy.
You saved the day. What are the odds there's a guy that knows Pole? You know, what are the odds? That's the best. We're talking about right place, right time. Who knows Pole?
Yeah,
I do.
So,
ironically, the one phrase I know is just sit down and shut up. That's the best.
Exactly. And so I wind up this is almost the end. So I get back to Chicago. I write a story, I hand it in to the doctor. He sends it out. And I'm thinking, oh, it's never going to go anywhere. I get a phone call at my office. Thank God I gave him the office number. This is before cell phones, pretty much. And this guy says, hey, imagine I'm beat down every day by my boss. Just beat down. He was the worst boss. And then I get this phone call of this guy going, are you Carl Kozlowski? Who are you? I'm reading the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the editor of New City, which is a weekly there. And he's like, you're lucky I read this today because I literally had to stop the presses, and we're making this our election story issue cover. And so I wound up on my first story ever getting the cover story of like, I don't know how many tens of thousands of copies all over Chicago.
Oh, no way.
And like completely, just immediately, all the comedians who were always thinking, oh God, there's that guy who's just nervous and beats up on himself on stage. My jokes were always self-deprecating. And suddenly it's like, holy crap, how did Koz get on the cover of New City? And so the doctor was right. I instantly had some good self-esteem because I was the only person who could do that.
Right.
And from there, my stand-up went smoothly, almost always completely, because I had some self-esteem about it.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. I remember that magazine, man. That's your first article. That is quite
yeah.
That's quite the feat. Dude, I wanted to talk about
yeah.
No, that's I didn't know anything about that. But what I did know about you is, and this is what I didn't know you had a YouTube page for this. The Radio Titan story. You're doing a documentary on that now, man. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to enlighten me about it anyway. But I didn't realize you had so much stuff on YouTube already about it. You got all these interviews.
Yeah. So Radio Titans is my podcasting thing, where I started in 2008 doing podcasting. Just with one show called Grand Theft Audio with a couple other guys. We did that for 4 years, and because I worked as an entertainment reporter and then editor at the Pasadena Weekly, I had access to so many publicists and tons of comedians because I was a comic, and so we had just amazing A-list guests, like sometimes 5 days a week. We were doing the show. It got so hot. We were doing the show 5 days a week, Grand Theft Audio, and the LA Times did a front page calendar story on us in 2011. And they're like, who are these 3 guys that have no IMDb credits, but half of Hollywood shows up? And so when that happened, we had the clout to either jump into somebody else's company or start our own thing. We started our own company a year later called Radio Titans. And there's still a website, radiotitans.com, but it just has a few series that I was involved with in the last couple of years of doing it. But we're today just bought a storage service from a site, and we're going to be revamping the website and blowing it all out with, we have 10,000 hours of shows that we were in charge of because there were so many clients and things like that for a decade. It was comedy, politics, and music shows. And they were just unbelievable, but we never blew up because I didn't know how to do social media, kind of like my dilemma with TikTok now. Right. But we were always praised like crazy, and we had huge guests who were like, you guys do this better than anyone. And so the thing is that my therapist now, still seeing one, so go figure, I'm a mess. This different therapist suggested that I do a documentary, or that I start asking just to feel better about my past since I came home and I was thinking, oh, I'm a loser. My therapist said, hey, you got a lot to be proud of. You know, reach out, talk to a few people, have some fun interviews, just put them up for yourself on Facebook or whatever, and just, you know, think more positively about what you did for all those years. Well, the thing is that the second I started, everybody wanted in. So I've done over 60 interviews now. I have another 10 next week to do. And like 20 of them are pretty famous people who are guests of ours. And this has turned into something where we have 3 contests at Netflix that are willing to watch it. And then we're pitching to Adam Sandler's company in 2 weeks, trying to see whether they want to take it on. And one of their producers invited us to do it. He loved our shows, a guy named Alan Covert. And I was like, well, you guys don't do documentaries. And he's like, if we're ever going to do one, it'd be something like this. And so it's because it's just a wild, crazy story about what we did from 2008 till 2018. And that's when I completely shut down doing podcasts. I finally started a new one lately that I guess we'll touch on in a minute. But yeah, this is covering like a decade of just craziness. I mean, we had hundreds of stars come through. We had tons of people that were on their way up and became stars. Melissa Villaseñor of SNL was a regular guest of ours, stuff like that. And then along the way, I got embezzled and evicted from one office in Hollywood, got embezzled by my best friend and partner. We got evicted, and then I made a comeback, and we did 18 months in a skyscraper in downtown LA. I think you were at that one.
Yeah, I went to that one.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then that fell apart through other shenanigans. And along the way, it also includes like things we did, like we threw giant live events that the LA Times would rave about. And I threw probably the craziest pool party in the history of Los Angeles. We had 7 bands, 10 comedians in 8 hours out at the pool of the Gaylord apartments where I lived. And 150 people showed up. We had a roast pig on a spit. And we had like 2 trash cans full of free booze. And it was just nuts. And the cops showed up 3 times in 8 hours. All 3 times they took a soda and laughed and left. Because you could do whatever you want till 10 in LA. But they said there were noise complaints coming in from 2 miles away.
Oh, no way. 2 miles away, yeah. Dude. That's impressive. Hang on.
Go all over Koreatown.
I was at that show because I got there late. I remember I had stuff to do during the day.
Oh, you were there. I have an interview with you. I got to find that on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I was an interview somewhere. I got to put that in.
Yeah, it was really late. Here's the site behind. What are we doing? I lost it. Anyway, that's the YouTube page.
Oh, right there. So people can see, like, I'm posting all the videos of the interviews as I'm going, just as a help, both to organize and to help promote it. And we've got, like I said, over 60 interviews, and you can see almost all of them up there.
Yeah.
Pod Crash, the story of Radio Titans.
Right on
YouTube.
Okay. I can't seem to move that page. It seems weird. All right. That's perfect. Yeah, you got tons of those. You got tons of those already up there, man. That's very cool. How now? Didn't you start a GoFundMe for the funding of the documentary? Did you do that?
Yeah. Basically, I haven't done one for the overall. I don't know if I could really pull off like a giant amount from people because I've had GoFundMes for various things over the years. I think some people are getting burned out, but I needed to raise like about $1,500 to have 2 days of shooting in LA. And I raised like $1,445. It was awesome.
Oh, right on.
I managed to get camera and two cameras and a sound person for 2 days, and we ran around LA the weekend before last. We did 8 locations in 7 hours, like filming the spots where all the big things happened. And then I did a day of interviews because I got to tell the story more than anyone. So I wrote out 70 questions about the decade, and a friend gave us her apartment to film in, and she read off the questions, and we fired off 70 questions in like 5 hours. It was crazy.
Wow, nice, man. Dude, I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. We gotta wrap up here pretty quick, but you said you had another podcast you wanted to talk about? I didn't know you had another. Catholic Laughs. Is it the Catholic Laughs one, or is it something else?
No, the Catholic Laughs is just shows. If you guys are interested in shows, if anybody's Catholic, and we can do clean shows for any group. It doesn't have to be Catholic, but go to CatholicLaughs.com if you want to see what that's about. And we'll probably get Lenny to do some shows. So
I would love to.
The new videocast or podcast I have is called Favorite Funny, and I have a YouTube page for that also. It's Favorite Funny with Carl Kozlowski, and I've done 9 episodes so far. I took a little time off. I'm about to get back at it, but it's basically me asking some of my favorite funny people about their favorite funny life stories, and then what's your favorite funny book, favorite funny movie, TV show, favorite comedian, etc. And it's been great so far. People, it's a good way to learn about all sorts of comedy that the best people in the business think is funny.
Right. Nice. Brilliant. All right. Well, we'll put that in the, what I normally do is this, this video is live right now, we're streaming, but it's going to stay on YouTube, like the other ones. And I'll put all the links to all your stuff in the bio so that they can go to and they can click on the links to absolutely all that stuff. Is there anything else you want to plug before we skate, before we get out of here, man?
No, that's all I could think of. I mean, I'm going to have you on sometime in June on the show. So yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah,
dude, you're a pro. You hit all those beats. It's like you plugged everything within an hour. That's amazing. That's really good work. When I first got it, I was like, I don't know if we're gonna get to all this, but you're like a machine.
Well, that's what you get with 2,000 hours of podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to
my own, and oversaw 10,000 hours.
Yeah, it's easy to interview someone like you. I'm like, oh, okay, that was a piece of cake. All right, thank you very much. All right.
Nice.
All right. No, thanks for Carl. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. You're the best. We got to have you back. I'll put all the bios. Folks, do me a favor. Give Carl a round of applause before he leaves. Come on, there he goes. That's Carl Kozlowski, my good friend. All right. That went pretty well. That went good. And there were no tech problems today. I'm surprised there are no tech problems. Well, I don't know. Well, I yelled at the Westview kids, so I think they got it. Or there was a mistake at the front, I think. Whatever. You guys are great. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much. Please like the video if you have not liked it yet. Subscribe to the channel. If you're just tuning in, or if you're still watching after the last hour and you want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, bam. There's a couple options for you right there. Look, you can go to lennyschmidt.com/ifyoucan. And on that page, you have the Venmo app. You have the Cash app. Or you can go to the Patreon page. You can join Patreon for as little as $1 a month, man. You can follow me and get all kinds of cool stuff. Like tomorrow, which is it's happy hour somewhere. So 4 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to be on the intraweb, drinking. Yeah, drinking. We'll be on Zoom. We'll be on Zoom drinking. Let's see if I can find who's here next week before we get out of here. We are seconds away. Oh yeah. Here's why. This will be cool. Monday, I'm in Tulsa next week. I'm in Tulsa. I'll put it up on my website, my Facebook soon. But I'm in Tulsa, and Monday I'm interviewing C.R. Parsons, who is a comedian from Tulsa, who actually is very funny and a friend of mine, and I wanted him to be on the show Monday because I will see him next week when I'm in Tulsa. So there you go. That's what I got. You guys are awesome. You're the best. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves. Do me a favor, please. As always, dream of Pinky.
Lenny Schmidt Quarantine Comedy was created, produced, and is hosted by Lenny Schmidt. We live stream on YouTube at 6 p.m. Pacific every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Special episodes occasionally stream or are uploaded on Tuesday and Thursday. Every episode is also launched as a podcast and can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. If you enjoyed the show, please like the video. If you really like it, share the video. If you really, really like it, please subscribe to the Lenny Schmidt Comedy channel on YouTube. You'll get updates on this and numerous other online comedy content that my dad produces. Check the info section below for detailed information on all of our guests. If you are a fan, you can follow and support them as well. Go to their page, like their content, buy their albums, purchase their shirt, any merch they may be selling. Anything you do will support performers will literally help save the arts. In fact, if you want to support this show financially, just go to lennyschmidt.com/ifyoucan or Venmo at Lenny Schmidt Comedy. If you donate as little as $1 or as much as $10,000, it will help pay for the stuff my dad keeps breaking. If you can't pay for the comedy content, that's okay. COVID sucks for all of us. Enjoy the free show. If you want to find a way to support what we do, just subscribe to Lenny Schmidt Comedy channel on YouTube. That really helps a lot. Thank you for listening to my dad's show, and as always, dream of Pinky.